cannot give you back your homes or restore your dead to life.
But perhaps I can give you justice in the name of our king.
Hey everyone, the second episode of Season 8 just aired, and wow, there was a lot going on. If you haven't seen the episode yet, go watch it and then come back here for the breakdown. Anyway, let's jump right into it. In the opening scene, Jaime is answering for the missing armies promised by Cersei, as well as being the one who killed Dany's father, the Mad King Aerys Targaryen. One huge thing that Jaime told everyone is how Cersei has Euron's Iron Fleet and the Golden Company. Enough men to take out the survivors from the north if the living was to defeat the dead. Brienne makes a good argument for why Jaime should be spared, and of course Bran rattles off the same phrase that Jaime said just before pushing him out of the tower back in the first episode of season 1, the things we do for love. This whole time Jon seems troubled. It's clear to Dany, but she doesn't understand why. In the last episode, Sam told Jon of his true lineage, being the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, so it makes sense why we can see the Warden of the North isn't his usual self. Then we see fortifications being built in the courtyard of Winterfell, which is kind of the last stand for the battle. I feel like this is going to be extremely similar to how the Battle of the Bastards went. Ramsay was able to decimate Jon's forces, however with the help of the Knights of the Vale, Jon was able to reach the courtyard where he had his final standoff with Ramsay. In the upcoming battle with the dead, the Night King will surely reach the courtyard, and this could be where a lot of the battle scenes from trailers before the season show major characters fighting in close combat. Anyway, Arya visits Gendry in the smithing area. She asks if he has finished her weapon, to which he responds with saying she would be safer in the crypt with the women and children. Arya grabs a few dragonglass blades and throws them at some wood, shocking Gendry. The last time they were really with each other, Arya was this young girl trying to pose as a boy, and she wasn't a skilled warrior like she is now. But with a lot of time passed, Arya has picked up some crazy combative training. To what extent Gendry doesn't know, but he was around when Jack and Hagar met Arya and led them to safety earlier on in the series. Gendry promises Arya he will get right to work on her weapon. And later on in the episode, when he reveals it to her, it is in fact a wooden stick with two dragonglass blades fixed on either side, making a two-sided spear. Arya has possibly the most experience with that specific type of weapon. Just remember back to her training in Braavos when she was blind and had to defend herself with nothing but a wooden stick. Arya had her fair share of beatings by the waif, but when it was all said and done, it was the young Stark who ultimately prevailed. A lot of small cutscenes occur with some longtime friends and different characters enjoying each other's company, and what could very well be the last time they see each other before battle. Now, the biggest scene in the whole episode is the War Council. Jon explains fighting the Night King straight up, sword on sword, won't work. He says there are far too many, but since the Night King is the leader and the one the dead all follow, if they can lure him out close enough to take him on, they may just have a chance at stopping his forces. This can be shown precisely by the ambush that Jon and his men led on the White Walker with a group of whites north of the wall. When the White Walker was defeated, the remaining whites collapsed to the ground. If the living target the White Walkers, then surely a massive number of whites will fall also, and taking out their king would be the best plan of attack since the dead army outnumbers the living to a substantial amount. Jaime states the Night King wouldn't risk being out in the open, because he knows if he's taken out, the army would be destroyed as well. Bran then says he will be what lures him out. Bran has the mark of the Night King, meaning he always knows where the three-eyed raven is. Bran explains he is being pursued by the leader of the dead army. The Night King seeks an endless night, where there is no three-eyed raven to stop the dead from conquering all. Apparently he wants to erase human existence. Not necessarily news, because we've known from the start that the White Walkers were created to destroy the First Men, who came from Essos and started killing the children of the forest, and cutting down their trees. Bran talks about waiting for the Night King in the Godswood, where the weirwood tree at Winterfell stands. No one in the room wants to leave Bran alone in the Godswood, so Theon offers to stay with him along with the Ironborn. The Living's plan is to defend the castle as long as they can, and when the time comes, Tyrion and Davos will signal for the trench they have been building around the castle to be set on fire. Dany doesn't like the idea of Tyrion being in battle and orders him to stay in the crypt instead. Then there is a discussion about what the dragon's role will be during the fight. Jon wants to position the dragon somewhere near Bran, not too close, but near enough to pursue the Night King when he gets to Bran in the Godswood. This next sequence is super important. Arya asks if he is vulnerable to dragonfire, and Bran responds saying nobody knows because it's never been attempted. We can all theorize how the Night King would be taken out, if he is indeed killed by the Living, but until it happens, all we can do is guess. Jon has found out about his true past, and he knows the Lord of Light brought him back from the dead for a purpose. Beric Dondarrion has told Jon there must be a reason why he was brought back, as well as Melisandre. I think by now most fans believe Jon is the second coming of Azor Ahai, and if true, then what we must think about is how the first Azor Ahai was able to beat the Night King. The legends tell of the prince that was promised, using his flaming sword Lightbringer to drive the dead army far into the north to the lands of Always Winter. The fact that the War Council doesn't know what the Achilles heel of the Night King is offers the idea that it may be Jon who proves the prophecy correct and has to deal with the Night King himself. There have been many shades of this king versus king battle coming for a long time. Remember back to the Battle of Hardhome, when the Night King gazed at Jon from above when he used Longclaw to beat the White Walker, and then after stood on the dock watching as Jon got away in the boat. It's obvious there's more to these two characters sizing each other up than what we see at first glance. Who knows, Jon may fly down on Rhaegal from an observation area near the Godswood and take on the Night King like so many of us have wanted for years. The main thing from the War Council scene to take into account is the Godswood. All of this started around weirwood trees, and it seems poetic for it to end there as well, doesn't it? Right after that scene, Tyrion sits down with Bran and asks him to tell his story. We don't get any details about what Bran shares, but if anyone other than the Three-Eyed Raven could put the pieces of Ice and Fire together, it would be Tyrion. Anyway, there are a lot of fan service moments, including Arya hooking up with Gendry, Podrick drinking with Tyrion, Tormund flirting hard with Brienne, and even Jaime knighting her. Podrick sings a song for the characters present during their final night before war. I'm sure a lot of fans familiar with the books know the significance of Pod's song. It is called Jenny's Song. Jenny was a woman who fell in love with the son of Aegon Targaryen, fifth of his name. King Aegon did not want his son marrying the non-noble woman, but in the name of love, Prince Duncan married Jenny and gave up his inheritance and his right to the Iron Throne. Jenny had a friend who was a woods witch, whom prophesied that the prince that was promised would come from the line of Aerys and Rhaella Targaryen, Dany's parents. It was believed the woods witch died in the fire at Summerhall, the Targaryen summer home. Interestingly enough, the fire at Summerhall was the night Rhaegar was born, as well as the location of his birth. So Rhaegar was born during the tragic fire, and Jon is Rhaegar's son, meaning Jon comes from Aerys and Rhaella's bloodline. And so Jenny's song could be retitled as the true song of Ice and Fire. Anyway, as the week moves on, I will break down even more of the second episode. If you liked anything from this video, please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more daily uploads. As always, have a great day, take care, and I will see you tomorrow.